Hey everybody, today we're going to be going over class selection. We're going to use a ranking system. I typically steer clear of ranking systems because things change all the time. For example, we have spear changes that should be out probably right when this video comes out. And also things always change in the game. I'm going to use my experience in this game so far, about 1,000 hours of playing it, running the guild, being a shot caller for large scale PvP like GVG and Siege Warfare. Also, just helping people out. I'm a min-maxer. What I like to do is break down builds, go through all the different math on it, and figure out how to get the most out of each different class and each different weapon type. So these are my opinions, though. So there's a chance that they could differ, or maybe you have some experience with one of the weapons that's maybe a little bit different than mine. But this is what I would recommend to anybody that I would be playing with whenever they were coming into the game. So we'll go ahead, we'll get started, but if you have any questions or want to share any thoughts on it, let me know in the comments. Now, class selection, like I said, we're going to use a ranking system. It's going to be a little bit different in the ranking system, but we'll go over how I plan to rank the weapons. First of all, I had to come up with some criteria. What does that criteria look like? Well, first, it's going to be synergy. How does the weapon synergize with the other weapon, as well as the group that you're playing with and whatever scenario you're in? Other one would definitely be power. How powerful is that weapon, and what's the scalability of the power that's on that weapon now? How much will it benefit you in all the scenarios? Another one is going to be utility. What utilities are you able to bring to a group, to a party, or even if you're soloing it by yourself? What utilities do you get out of the combo? And a really important one is capability. So are they capable of all the things in the game? Can you PvE with this selection? Can you PvP? Can you large scale PvP? Or are you kind of locked into one or the other? That's really where I want the focus to be the most whenever we're kind of picking out what weapons do I think are out there that are the highest ranking right now. So let's go ahead and let's get started. First of all, I really want to go over what does the ranking system look like. It's not going to be the standard S tier and down, but similar. It'll be best, great, but instead it'll be situational, very situational, and things that I'm just going to go ahead and say you should completely avoid. All right, Wand and Bow, top tier. This is one of the best healers in the entire game. You could play in any of the content. Really sought after, stand up for yourself, and a ton of fun to play. If you're into healing, definitely go Wand Bow. People look for them all the time. They're amazing and a lot of fun to play. Next is going to be Dagger Bow. This has really kind of gone into very situational. It can do some blowing up. It can knock somebody out pretty quickly, but pretty limited in large scale PvP. PvE, a lot of fun though. I'm going to give it very situational just because it does have some spots in large scale PvP and definitely does in arena. Now, next you'll have the Dagger and Staff. Now, this is a great build. You're going to see them up really high in kill rankings on your servers. They are a lot of fun. They burst a lot of damage out in PvE and PvP, and they are just a blast to play. So you're definitely going to, if you're into just blowing stuff up, Dagger Staff is a blast. Dagger Wand used to be a little bit higher up there for me, but since we really don't see too many successful sleep bombs going off anymore now with resistances, they're kind of dropping down the tier. So I'd say situational because they still do have a spot and they are awesome still. X-bow, crossbow, and bow, I'm just going to really say outside of PvE, there's just really no space for it. You're just going to, in PvP, outside of some really, really, really specific situations, you're just going to get shut down and bombed with having kind of zero defenses to be able to stand up for yourself at all. Dagger crossbow, top in PvE DPS. In PvP, really strong. They're able to go in there and knock down big groups really fast and spin and win, especially if they're grouped up. But where they really do win is being grouped up. So that's why they're in great. Now, the sword and dagger, same thing where they are a lot of fun. You sneak into the back line, wreak a lot of havoc with them. But with resistances getting to where they're at, they're not able to really stay back there long enough and be able to have enough survivability with a dagger skill outside of the evasion that it comes with. Great sword and bow just doesn't have enough. It just really doesn't. You're going to get, there's no real defense to it. If you're found, you get knocked down pretty quick. Plus the resistances available to you, it's just not good. You're just going to get torn into pieces really quickly. And we'll go over those defenses later. Now, GS Dagger, This used to be one of my favorites, but they've kind of fallen into the same thing. Man, they are monsters at pushing damage out. Insane. PvE, one of the top DPS in PvE. But a real issue for them is the resistance types available to them. And it's really hard for them to stay up in the middle of a large PvP group or even a smaller one. Now, the Sword and Shield, great sword, really powerful. It's so many defensive skills, knockdown skills, stuns. On the front line with one of these, you are just a nightmare. And you can really help, change the fate for your team in a large-scale battle. Now, the Great Sword and Spear is going into great because the AoE meta that's out there right now in large-scale PvP and PvE is huge, and these just both dish it out so much and buff each other and synergize so well. Next, we have the Great Sword and Staff. I'm going to go ahead and put that down to a void. Once again, resistance is stacking, not the best, not enough sustainability, burns too much of everything, and just not the best fit for what's out there right now. So definitely going to put that into an avoid for right now. Sword and Shield bow, same thing. The synergy is just really not there in my opinion, and I think there's just too much. There's just too much other things that you could put that's the time and the points into and be more effective in PvE and also PvP for a group and teamwork. Sword and Shield and Staff. This one used to be a monster, but then everybody got resistances. And so I just don't think the synergy is there. I think it feels like you're playing two different weapons, and that's just not what you want. You want it to all feel like one solid action that's happening. Then you got the Wand and Sword and Shield. This is a monster. Heal yourself, heal your group, become unkillable, wreak havoc, slowly kill everybody with dots around you. It's an absolute blast. One of my favorite things to play. I still love switching over to the Wand. All right, Sword and Shield crossbow. Just no synergy here. I'm going to say avoid it. They just do not synergize together well. You can have some fun with it, just like anything in this game, but you're definitely not going to be able to pull off a lot in large-scale PvP. And the same thing with PvE. It's just going to be confusing, feeling like you're playing two different weapons completely. Spear and bow. I'll put it into very situational just because I've seen this do some crazy things when it comes to large-scale PvP and also AoE for PvE. It just dishes out a lot of AoE all over the place, all the time. Now on to the AoE meta that we were talking about. Sword and Shield and Spear. Go Spartan mode and be annoying in the middle of the mix with lots of stuns, fears, etc., and do tons of AoE damage all around you. It's a blast to play. I love playing this class. Spear and Wand, no, just no. I've tried it. I tried it for a long time to figure out how to make it work with this class that I'm playing now, and it doesn't work. It feels like two completely separate weapons. Again, doesn't synergize well at all. It doesn't fit in other groups. Now, going to Spear Staff, this one's a little weird. I'm going to put it to situational just because you can come up with some weird stuff. To PvP, small scale PvP, you can nuke people down, and man, it can nuke hard in PvE. Now we've got the Spear and Crossbow, just no synergy there. No real fit anywhere, no survivability, no sustainability. Really uncomfortable. Anybody that wants to go that route, I've told them I just wouldn't. I know some people love it, but I just think long-term, no. Wand and Staff, this is what I currently play. Moving away from the Sword and Shield over to the Wand and Staff, I think it's one of the most fun things to play in the world. You can do so much by yourself, so much solo, and man, you can dish out a lot of damage with it. But it's not going to be the top in any of them. Next is going to be the Staff and Bow. This is the king of the king when it comes to killing. Top of all your kill rankings on your server are going to be Staff and Bow most of the time, just because the massive amount of AoE damage they push out into a large-scale battlefield, as well as in PvE. And one of the last ones here, Staff and Crossbow, just no. Again, just no synergy. They don't match up. To gear it properly, you end up having to change your gear up so many weird ways, you're just not going to be able to build a defensive system up well. And last but not least is the Wand and Crossbow. Same thing. You're just not going to be able to gear properly and to get the most out of it. And also, they just don't synergize well at all. Now, these are my opinions. This is what I feel like is the best, or not the best, but what the rankings look like currently. And what I would look for and recommend to anybody that wants to start playing or wants to change over what they're currently playing. And keep in mind, there's lots of changes that go on in the game all the time. We just had a Spear update. I'm about to go learn more about the Spear update. I'm sure everybody's dying for me to get on so they can tell me what they've seen, what's changed, what's different for them right now. And that could change rankings right there. We have the changes that are coming into our mastery system, which is huge. The ability to be able to just say, nope, I'm going to play something else. I really like that, not being so locked in. But as always, I don't really put this out there as like a matter of fact. It's my opinion. So I love getting feedback. I love having conversation about it. If you have some experiences with some of the weapons, or you have some experience with some of the classes or the combos that maybe I don't or I overlooked, let me know. I'm always up and have conversation about it, and even update videos to where they represent that if it's, you know, information that's more beneficial to everybody. But I just wanted to get that out there. Hopefully this helps you be able to go out and pick a class and feel a little bit more confident on what you're doing. Next section, we're going to start going over builds. We're going to start going over what the gear looks like, why we pick different pieces of gear, what matches up, what defenses. We have so much stuff to go through. But immediately, the next video that I'm going to have out here pretty shortly is definitely going to be going over leveling and gearing, not just leveling up to 50, but leveling your gear, how to level it quickly, as well as a gearing guide as far as what you should look at to gear for PvE, for PvP, for defenses, all that stuff. And just wanted to say again, thank you all for coming on here, taking a look, and, you know, hanging out with me to go over some of this information. I love getting to do this, and I hope that this is some helpful stuff for you. Anything else, any recommendations, anything, always feel free to let me know directly or right through the comment system. And thank you again. I'll see you out there.